In this video, we'll be taking a look at 3 college football games happening on September 2nd, 2023, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games. So 2 picks for each game, 6 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 3 college football games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start: if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. New Mexico versus Texas Agricultural and Mechanical. New Mexico got off to a good start last season, winning 2 of their first 3 games, but then lost their last 9 games. They had one of the weakest defenses in the nation, averaging 13 points per game, and they head to Texas Agricultural and Mechanical as massive betting underdogs in their season opener. While Texas Agricultural and Mechanical finished 5-7 last season, 3 of their wins came facing ranked teams, and they almost beat Alabama, who were number 1 at the time. They had many close games last season, but only ranked 12th in the Southeastern Conference in total offense. New Mexico is 4-19-1 against the spread in their last 24 games overall, and 2-12 against the spread in their last 14 road games, while the under is 5-2 in their last 7 games in September. Texas Aggies is 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 games against the Mountain West, and 9-2 against the spread in their last 11 Week 1 matchups, while the over is 7-3 in their last 10 games against the Mountain West. The Lobos look like the worst team in the Mountain West Conference. They will struggle to move the ball against the Aggies, whose defense should be one of the best in the nation in 2023. Anything other than a blowout win will be unacceptable by Aggies' standards, given the talent in this lineup. And Jimbo Fisher just isn't a call-off-the-dogs kind of coach when his teams are up big. The Lobos have been one of the worst teams in the country, and even with an injection of talent for this year's team, I don't see it making an on-field difference until we start getting into conference play, and even then that might be a stretch. So the Texas Aggies to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. New Mexico was one of the worst teams in the country last season, posting a record of 2-10 and ending the season on a 9-game losing streak. New Mexico was terrible both offensively and defensively. Defensively, the Lobos allowed an average of 28 points per game, which ranked 73rd in the country. Offensively, they scored an average of 10.5 points per game, the absolute worst in the Football Bowl subdivision. The Aggies were not nearly as bad, but still had a very disappointing year, finishing 5-7 with the highlight of their season being a 38-23 win over the LSU Tigers. The Aggies were inconsistent when it came to offense, scoring an average of 22 points per game, which ranked 97th in the country. In comparison, their defense was halfway decent, allowing an average of 23 points per game and ranking 33rd in the country. We cannot trust an offense like the Lobos, who rarely scored last season. The Lobos saw 10 of their 12 games stay below this total last season. Their virtually non-existent offense combined with the Aggies' solid defense makes this one likely to be a low-scoring affair. Under projected total is our full game total pick. West Virginia versus Penn State. After a 31-year hiatus, West Virginia meets Penn State on Saturday night for the 60th meeting between the schools. The Mountaineers had a down year, going 5-7 and missing out on postseason play for the first time since 2019. The Nittany Lions captured their first Rose Bowl victory since 1994 last year and finished 11-2, their best mark since 2019. Penn State returns as many as 16 starters from a season ago, but it marks the start of the Drew Aller era at Penn State, as Sean Clifford has moved on to the NFL. Expectations are high for Aller, a former 5-star recruit who ranked in the top 5 nationally in the 2022 recruiting cycle. He will play behind an experienced line that is anchored by a future NFL player in Alamayo Fashanu at left tackle, but the wide receiver core is a bit depleted following the departures of Parker Washington, Mitchell Tinsley, and Brenton Strange. They will need Keandre Lambert-Smith and Harrison Wallace III to step into bigger roles, while hoping Dante Cephas can make the adjustment from the Mid-American Conference to a power conference. Tight ends Theo Johnson and Tyler Warren will likely have big roles in the passing attack as well. Meanwhile, the running back group remains a strength with Nick Singleton and Catroin Allen back in the mix. Like Penn State, West Virginia is likely to start a young quarterback behind an experienced offensive line with a dynamic running back group and a depleted pass catcher group. In fact, the Mountaineers may have a slight advantage on the offensive line considering they finished inside the top 35 in pass blocking and run blocking according to PFF and returned multiple pieces who graded above a 70 in overall blocking compared to Penn State's 1. However, they will be without their top 4 pass catchers from last season, which might make West Virginia's offense one-dimensional with its rushing attack, a unit that returns 3 very talented running backs in C.J. Donaldson Jr., Jalen Anderson, and Justin Johnson Jr. The strength of Penn State's team overall is its defense. The unit returns 75% of its production from last season, including 4 of 5 leaders in tackles and sacks, as well as 5 of its 6 leaders in tackles for loss. The Nittany Lions finished the season in the top 5 in opponent-adjusted defensive efficiency and are projected to be yet another top 5 defense this year considering all the returning assets. This could be troublesome for the Mountaineers with an inexperienced quarterback and a depleted wide receiver core on the road in one of the most hostile environments in college football. West Virginia returned 68% of its defensive production, but the Mountaineers finished outside the top 100 in opponent-adjusted defensive efficiency in 2022. Furthermore, they allowed monster performances to most of the top running backs they faced last season, such as Bijan Robinson. As a former 5-star and top 20 recruit, Singleton possesses the ability to run over West Virginia's defense and likely will be given the chance to do just that while the Nittany Lions ease in their young quarterback. Overall, Penn State has quite a talent advantage over West Virginia on paper, as the Mountaineers have not finished above 35th in the recruiting rankings under Coach Neil Brown, while Penn State has been in the top 15 a majority of that time. I think the Nittany Lions will use that to their advantage, control the line of scrimmage, and score freely against the Mountaineers. They may not pull away until the second half, but I'll take the Nittany Lions to take care of business at home in front of a huge crowd. So the Penn State Nittany Lions to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. 5 of West Virginia's last 8 contests have seen way more than 50 points on the scoreboard. The Mountaineers struggled mightily on the defensive side of the ball in 2022, and I'm not expecting to see a dramatic improvement this time around. Once more, this is a tricky wager because of the quarterback situation on both sides. These two teams can run the ball efficiently, but I'm not sure what to expect from their passing game. The Nittany Lions should surpass a 30-point mark with ease. Over the projected total is our full game total pick. Texas Tech versus Wyoming. For the first time since 1992, Texas Tech and Wyoming will meet on the gridiron. The Red Raiders went 8-5 a year ago and picked up a win in the Texas Bowl to close out their season. The Cowboys went 7-6 a year ago, dropping their finale in the Arizona Bowl. These are teams with a lot of continuity from last season, and it is reasonably predictable how each team will approach the game. The Red Raiders are in their second year under head coach Joey McGuire. The offense is classic Tech, throw it vertically. They did that far better than expected in their first season in the system, and quarterback Tyler Show is the key. He battled injuries last season, but a healthy Show should mean a lot of Red Raider scores. The defense is a bit of a liability, as it usually is in Lubbock, but that shouldn't be exposed too much by Wyoming. As for the Cowboys, we know who they are too. They want to run the ball, and they especially do it between the tackles. Their quarterback managed only 10 passing touchdowns last season, and they will want to keep it on the ground against the Red Raiders. I suspect the between the tackles approach might work fine against the lesser half of the Mountain West, but it is hard to imagine that the Wyoming line will be able to push around a Big 12 defense well enough to truly compete. Given the experience of the Texas Tech offense and their willingness to get vertical in any situation, I expect some long and sudden scoring strikes from the Red Raiders. I also expect Wyoming's style of offense to struggle against what should be a physically superior opponent. I am puzzled as to why this line is only 2 touchdowns. I expected the Red Raiders to be favored by much more. I see this as more of a 20-point game than a 14-point game, so the Texas Tech Raiders to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. This is where Wyoming's defense will enter the spotlight. Last season, they held opponents to 20 points or less in 7 games, and the team played in just 3 games all season, which eclipsed the total put on this game. When they opened at Illinois last season, just 44 combined points were scored. I also don't expect a whole lot from the Cowboys' offense here. Texas Tech, though loaded with strong offensive weapons, will find it hard to move the ball early against this defense. They'll also be playing at a much higher altitude than normal, so sustained drives will take a lot out of them. Wyoming just doesn't have enough offense to put up more than a couple of scores against Texas Tech. Also, because they are a run-heavy team, they will likely eat up more clock, which will limit Tech's ability to run up the score late in the game. In addition to that, Wyoming does have a decent defense, so while they won't stop Show show and co. They'll provide enough resistance to keep the score below the total, under the projected total as our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.